Hey guys, in this next video for the Storytime series, I'll be sharing my first trimester, so that's next. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Midlife Mama. I'm Tiffany, and on this channel I hope you'll find hope, inspiration, encouragement, and some practical tips on motherhood and pregnancy after 40. If you're new here, consider subscribing, joining the family, coming along for the ride. If you're already a subscriber, thank you so much for being here, for rocking with me, and welcome back. In today's video, it's video number 2 of this Storytime series where I will be covering my pregnancy, and we are talking about the first trimester in this video. So I want to jump right in and let you guys know what I will be covering. I will be covering things like my first high-risk appointment, my symptoms, my emotions. I'll talk a tiny little bit about my diet, but I'll be covering things like that just to sort of give you guys a picture of what my first trimester was like. So without further ado, let's get into the video. If you missed that last video, make sure you watch it. I will put it up here somewhere because I can't ever remember what side this is gonna be on, but I'll put it up here and I'll link it down in the description box. But make sure you watch that video. It's fine to watch them out of order, but it's kind of fun to follow it chronologically as well. So anyway, that video is linked below and it'll be up here. Anyway, so when we left off there, I had left the doctor. My pregnancy was confirmed. I left the doctor with referrals to my high-risk doctor, and I just want to cover a couple of things before I get into it. When I got pregnant, I was already dealing with hypertension, high blood pressure, and I was on medication for it. So I want to preface by saying I was on medication for high blood pressure before I got pregnant. So I still had it when I got pregnant. There is a video that I have that covers pregnancy and high blood pressure. So I'll link that video as well. You want to take a look at that video. There's a lot of information in that video about how to successfully manage your blood pressure during pregnancy. So take a look at that video when you get a chance. It's one of my earlier videos, so you know, be gentle with the video. It's one of my very first videos that I put out. So you guys, but it's still really got some good information in it. So take a look at that if you are concerned about high blood pressure and pregnancy. I have notes here. Let me take a look here. Yes, I had high blood pressure, so there was an immediate change of my medication. I was switched to a new medication called labetalol, and I'll also link that medication down in the description box below. So y'all take a look at the description box before you click away from the video. My care was referred immediately to a high-risk doctor. And for those of you who are wondering, if you live in the Las Vegas area, I went to Desert Perinatal. Absolutely recommend that place if you're in a high-risk pregnancy and you live in the Las Vegas area. Definitely recommend Desert Perinatal. Check them out. I will link them down in the description box below as well. Let me get into the first high-risk doctor's appointment. So going to the doctor's appointment, I ended up going by myself. My mom was working that day and she met me there, but I ended up going in by myself. The first part of this appointment is really the genetic counseling. And what will happen in genetic counseling is that they're going to go through your family history, and then they're going to give you what the percentages are, what can go wrong, what the risks are, and things like that. And then they also are going to determine what type of genetic testing you are going to need. So for me, I went through my family history of all of the, things that are in my family history. They ask about everything. They ask about high blood pressure. Oh, can you hear that? It's getting closer to 4th of July. Fireworks are happening already. Anyway, so they ask about high blood pressure, they ask about diabetes, they ask about cancer, they ask about autism. And so if you are going to a high-risk doctor appointment for the first time, you want to make sure that you are familiar with your family history. Before you go, it'll help get through that part of the appointment quicker. And then she went through all of the chromosome defects that can happen, and she went through the fact that my eggs were older than the average pregnancy or average mother. So she went over that, and she went over the different type chromosomes. I'm not going to go into detail about what those are, but she covered them. What she told me was, this is the takeaway that I want you guys to have from this part of the video, is that, and it's the thing I held on to in the first parts of my pregnancy. She said that yes, the risks are about 5% higher for women of my age for advanced maternal age. The risks are 5% higher, but what that means is that there's a 95% chance that everything is just fine. So that's what I took away from that meeting. I don't want to spend too much time on that meeting. If you guys have questions for me, or if there's something that I don't cover or answer in this video, please feel free to reach out. Leave the question in the comments below, or you can always catch me on Instagram or Facebook if you have questions. That's really the first part of the appointment. Then you go back, then I went back out into the lobby, and my mom missed that part of the appointment, but I had her on the phone with me, so she heard all of it, and she immediately looked at me and was like, "You okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine." She really made me feel very good about the pregnancy. If you're wondering why I had to go to a high-risk doctor, and this is just for anyone, I just want to put this out here. If you are pregnant over 35, you are considered advanced maternal age. So for me, advanced maternal age automatically meant that I was going to be a high-risk pregnancy. The other contributing factor to me being a high-risk pregnancy was the fact that I had high blood pressure. So any type of condition you have, your age, those things contribute to you being a high-risk pregnancy, and that's the reason for high risk. There are other factors that contribute to that, but that is why I was a high-risk pregnancy. Okay, just want to cover that. We're going to move on to the next part of the appointment. So the next part of the appointment really was just testing. They drew blood, they took my weight and things like that. And then I was taken to a room where, of course, there's the screen. Here is where I knew I was going to have my ultrasound. This was my favorite part of the appointment. So the first ultrasound was, my mom had made it at this point, so she's in the room with me, and she's there for moral support, of course. She's there for comic relief. So the technician comes in and she, does the belly thing. Well, she comes in and we get ready to do the ultrasound, because at this point I don't have a belly and my baby's very small. So I'm only at about 9 weeks at this point. So she turns on the machine and she starts to look around inside there. And before anything comes up on the screen, my mom's like, it's very quiet in the room, and my mom's like, better not be more than one baby in there. So she breaks the tension with that comment, because it's quiet and tense and you're waiting for your baby to pop up on the screen, and she broke the tension, which I love her for, because she made everyone laugh and sort of just exhale. So finally Nevaeh pops up on the screen, and she's rolling around. She's rolling around. And the technician said, "Yep, well, definitely one little nugget in there." And there she was. And the minute I saw her, of course, instant tears. And I think I said something like, "Hi, baby." To see her for the first time was it was amazing to see her for the first time, and to actually think that, wow, like, that's my baby in my body, and I'm getting ready to grow this little person. So we finish up the ultrasound, and my mom's like thank God it's just that one baby. Because the reason she said that was because prior to going to the appointment, I was reading online about the factors that contribute to twins. And I had a number of those factors working in my favor that kind of would indicate that it was possible that I could have twins. And my mother's like, oh my God, we can't handle more than one baby. So that's why she said that in the appointment. It was really funny. I'm glad she said that, but that's why she said that in the appointment. So she does the normal ultrasound type thing. She measures the baby, and she does all of the things that she needs to do to find out how far along in the pregnancy I am. The first thing I did when I found out I was pregnant was went to the first response website so they could calculate how far along you are in your pregnancy. I was about 5 weeks when I found out, so I went to my first high-risk doctor's appointment 4 weeks later, and then I was at about 9 weeks. She determined that I was about 9 weeks pregnant, so it was spot on. It was right on target. She let us hear the heartbeat, which was good and strong and fast. I don't remember the number, but it was fast. And she's like, "That's a good strong heartbeat." And Nevaeh, and just for fun, Nevaeh just sort of did like a rollover, she just rolled over like a little flip. She's like, "Oh, look at that," before we left. So I got to see Nevaeh just, do a little flip. It was funny. That's the end of the high-risk doctor's appointment. I went back in about 4 weeks. In the genetic counseling, she did determine that I was going to need that Maternity 21 test. That is the test that determines chromosome. It tests the chromosomes to make sure everything's normal. It also reveals gender. So that's the test I was given. That was the first high-risk doctor's appointment. And before I go into symptoms, I just want you guys to make sure you follow me on Instagram, because what I am doing with the right side of my Instagram feed is telling the story of my pregnancy in pictures. So definitely follow me there on Instagram so you guys can follow along the pregnancy journey in pictures. Also follow along with this as you're following along with this series as well. So that's just a little fun tidbit of information. So now let's get into these symptoms. So my symptoms, I think we covered my early pregnancy symptoms in the first video. In the first trimester, my symptoms were fatigue. I was so tired. Pregnancy hit me like a ton of bricks. I was flat out tired. I don't know how I got through work every day, but I was flat out tired. That's a special kind of tired. That fatigue, that pregnancy fatigue, it's a special kind of tired. So I was tired. Nausea was a mild issue. I did have nausea, but I did not have what I would consider morning sickness. Like, I didn't throw up a lot. I guess that TMI, if that's TMI for you guys, but I didn't throw up a lot. I was nauseous if I smelled something that I had an aversion to. And that usually happened when I was at work, and I'm going to tell you why in 1 second. But yes, nausea was a mild issue for me. I used ginger, and it was very helpful to help with the nausea. I would if I was at work, I would drink some ginger tea, or I kept little ginger pops on me at all times. If I could, I would drink some ginger tea. That was very helpful for me because my nausea was very mild. The next symptom I had was heartburn. Heartburn hit early. It hit early, and it was relentless. It lasted all the way through my pregnancy. It's just heartburn. Oh my God. It was, and it didn't start gradually. That's it, heartburn every day. And I tried, avoiding things like tomatoes and peppers and things that would give you heartburn, but it did not matter. If I ate those things, I did cut back on those things early on because it helped a little bit, but because it would make it worse if I did consume it. And I knew I was going to get heartburn, so if I ate those things, it would just make it that much worse. So I did cut back on eating those things. I did not eliminate altogether, but I did cut back severely on things that cause heartburn, because the heartburn for me, it just like full on right away, and it lasted all the way through my pregnancy. The next symptom was smell. I hated the smell of refrigerator. You know, when you open a refrigerator and there's it's a smell, the smell of the foods that are in the refrigerator. I hated that smell. And I also hated the smell of garlic. So now let me tell you, I'm going to tell you in a minute. I hated the smell of garlic. I really lost my sweet tooth during my pregnancy. In my first trimester, it just went away. And it did not come back until after I had Nevaeh, but I really lost my sweet tooth. I really wanted to eat things that were citrusy and salty. Those are the things that I wanted to eat mostly. So citrus, grapefruit, orange, lemons, anything fresh and citrusy or salty. So I did like it. Yes. Fresh, citrusy, salty. That's what I really wanted to eat. Okay, so for those of you who have been here a while, then you know that I did used to work in an Italian restaurant. Now, you remember I told you I started to hate the smell of garlic. So I smelled that smell every day when I went to work, because you cannot be in an Italian restaurant and not use garlic. It was so bad. Going to work every day was an assault on my nose. Like, I could not. That is where the nausea hit me the most, which is why I told you earlier that I had to carry those ginger pops with me, and I had to have the ginger tea because it would make me nauseous. So I had to have those while I was at work, because the smells were intense, which would in turn make me nauseous. Luckily, the nausea wasn't severe enough to make me throw up, but it really would make me nauseous. So ginger tea, ginger pops. That's what I had to do. Those are my symptoms that I was really dealing with in my first trimester. The next thing I want to talk about is my diet. So I'm only going to cover this briefly, because I am planning to do a video on my diet leading up to getting pregnant. So I can also include what my diet was after I got pregnant, if you guys want to see that. If you do, let me know in the comments below, and I'll add that content onto the video of my diet leading up to getting pregnant. For me, I really had to be careful. I was overweight when I got pregnant, so I didn't want to gain too much weight, and my doctors didn't want me gaining too much weight because I also had high blood pressure. So I really had to be careful with my diet, and that's really it. I mean, I had to be careful with what I eat, so I didn't go crazy with my food. I didn't follow that philosophy that you're eating for two. I didn't do that. I just really tried to eat healthy. So I did indulge once in a while, but I really tried to keep it to a minimum and try to be healthy most of the time. That's it for the diet. So yes, let me know in the comments if you want to see more about my diet while I was pregnant. I'll include it in the video of my diet leading up to getting pregnant. Okay, so let's talk about my emotions. My emotions during my first trimester. Anxiety was high. It was very, very high. I was worried something was going to go wrong. And in those first weeks, or those first weeks of pregnancy, there's not a lot to hold on to. Like, you don't have a bump, you don't feel your baby moving around, and it's in a situation where you're in a high risk pregnancy, or probably also if you've had a prior miscarriage. You really want some reassurance that this is going to be okay. And there's not a lot to hold on to in that first trimester. And so my anxiety was really high. I really took comfort in every pregnancy symptom that I had. So if I went a day and didn't have any symptoms, my anxiety was just a little bit higher that day. So I really wanted as many pregnancy symptoms as possible, because they made me feel better. The only time I was at ease during my first trimester was if I was at the doctor. And that was and that's when I could either see her on the screen or hear her heartbeat. And then I felt okay. But other than that, my anxiety was really high for my first trimester. I had serious bump envy going to the doctor, or if I saw someone pregnant on the street or anywhere. If I saw someone with a bump, I serious bump envy. I was so anxious to get my bump. Like, I really wanted if you follow me on Instagram, then I posted the first picture of what I thought was my very first signs of having a baby bump, and I really wanted that baby bump so bad. So bad. So I had bump envy. I would find myself like looking around at like no one. I don't know if it's because I wanted people to know I was pregnant, or because I wanted to know for myself that I was pregnant. I don't know where it came from, but I had it. I wanted my bump, and I wanted it now. So that is one of the things that I was dealing with in my first trimester, and I think I'm going to stop there. I'm going to cover the Maternity 21 test in this next video. I hope this was fun. I hope it wasn't too long. I hope it was informative. If you liked it, give this video a big thumbs up. Subscribe so you don't miss the next video in the series. Also, stick around, binge the rest of the channel, get to know us a little better if you're new. As always, I will be live in the comments for a couple of hours after this video goes live. So I will be in the comments. Leave a comment, find me there, let's chat in the comments. Catch up with me on Instagram and Facebook, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.